So my first picture you're gonna see here is a YouTube search and a video of like what school is for. My video, the video was mainly talking about like the points as to why like maybe high school or school in general really isn't maybe that important, or how it can be like basically thought of and rebuilt to be like more helpful for students and like helpful for children who are like, growing up and you learn like valuable life lessons like a one point that was made in the video you see is like how he talks about like the math and like some things that you learn in math that you'll never really use. How like sometimes you didn't really learn like life issues or like a lot like economic like not economic but basically a lot of hard hitting questions which a lot of time can be taught in schools and some classrooms like special like Mrs. Bonner teaches us like she kind of breaks away from like the alternative type of like teaching and goes into like a really important type of like what we should know. And I know I'm like saying like a lot, but we definitely should have school like rethought. And when we go into classrooms and when we go into these different environments and we're like told that we're failing and like we're giving these grades that like show our worth when really that's not what we're worth. Like there are many like smart people like you even look at like Albert Einstein who like was terrible in school and terrible at science and they go on to do like great things. And I mean these are great people, but we could have so many more of like these Einsteins and people if we're like pushing them in the right direction and like we push them. So um we teach them things like maybe like how to take care of family or like how to deal with their tough situation, make it more like individualized and like actually life importance. And like I think that would just be a really good idea. And I feel like this is what this kind of discussion is like. My whole inquiry in this is like, what should we really be learning in school, and like, what does this why is school really important, and what is this really teaching us? And if these questions can't be answered, like, how should this be changed and rethought of? But that's really my inquiry with this picture. Okay, so for my next picture, you're probably a little bit confused. Maybe you can't see right, but it's really our floor in our band hallway. And what it is when you walk down, you see these tiles, and they're all like lined, except for this one weird tile that's red and like in the gray area. And I know what you're thinking, and I know this is like, wow, why is the student really showing us this? What does this make sense? But my inquiry is actually very in depth, more than usual. So when you look at this tile, you're walking down and like you're looking at the tiles, looking at the different colors. Maybe you notice it, maybe you don't. But one thing that happens to me is sometimes I can get a little OCD, which happens to a lot of kids I heard. When you look at this tile and like you see it out of place, it doesn't really mess up your day, but it kind of like maybe even throws you off, or it could do multiple things. Like, does this like was this tile on purpose? Like, is this what our school is doing? Nah, but like I don't know. This could be just really as simple as why is our tile messed up? Why was that on accident? How come we never noticed this? Because we didn't notice this for like what? Like 6 or 5 months almost. Like we didn't see this and look at this until like, wow, like that's really strange. And when we sit and think about it, like what it can do and what like how actually we think about it. And I think like analyzing just a picture like that and like what it thinks to you is like a really good idea. So basically my inquiry was, what does this tile mean? And like what is it really doing here? Like is it just a simple like fix? Like, do we just fix this over summer, like a maintenance thing, or is this more of like a thought process, almost like an OCD type like issue, or like maybe like when you look at it, like how it makes you feel almost? It's really strange, but yeah. Hello, sorry for the change of location. I had to move because my friend is like awesome and wanted to move me on my spot. Anyway, so for my last picture here, you're gonna see a picture of me like kind of hovered over like some graffiti on the back of the wall here. That was in the hallway in our high school part of the school, and I had a few kind of like short questions about it when I walked by, and it kind of seems simple, but I feel like they're also kind of important. When we think of our school, we also want to think of like what our school represents, like what it is, and you can obviously see it says HJHS, what stands for Hayworth High School, and things like that, like the Hornets, like the black and red are colors and all that. But I was really also questioning the basic. I'm sorry, the you can see how it's like pitched like a hive and things like that, but I was really wondering about what the importance of those like paintings mean and like what image are they supposed to draw. We were I'm sorry. We were really just trying to I'm sorry if I say again, I'm very sorry for saying we really are trying to think of like the main idea of like these graffiti, or I say graffiti, but like these drawings on our walls and like what they really mean. We can really like kind of tell when we walk by like how that what that emotion brings to you, or like if that's supposed to bring pride to you, or like what that's like representing, because sometimes they like represent like certain things that happen in Hayworth or at our high school that like are significant and like mean things like shape our school. Like for example, when you go out to like our football field, we have our bell of like a student and somebody who used to like attend our school, like who passed away and like how important they were. And like we ring that bell after every game and like how important it is. Like that like signifies a school and like somebody who was there. So we really just like to think about when we're drawing stuff on our school, like what is important, like what rolls into that, like what are our final decisions when we decide this is what should be shown in our school and this is really what should represent and like what should be shown. Thank you. Sorry.
So as you can see in front of you, there's a picture of a bunch of lockers in our junior high. Now you're probably really confused about why I'm showing you this for my inquiry, but it really made me stop and think, because if you look closely, you can see that there are no locks on these lockers. And I was just wondering, why? Is it because we're all so tightly knit and trust each other so much not to go into the other person's locker and take this stuff? Or is it an effect because we're a small school? Like, if you go into a big school, like my dad used to teach at Kingsley, there were lockers everywhere, and each one had a lock. I'm just wondering if that's why, because we're such a small school and we're all so tightly knit, and if that just has an effect on how we interact with everyone around us and just how we treat each other. This next picture is actually located behind our school out by the ag shop, and I took this one and I was kind of still developing my inquiry for it, but as I was walking around, it was going through my head, why is this building separate from the rest of the school? Out of all the buildings and all the extracurriculars that could have been separate, why is it the ag shop? And why does it have to be separate? It's just, when you're walking through the high school, you see the art room and the drama room, and you don't really see the ag shop. It doesn't really get that much recognition, I guess, as much as the other ones. Like, you have to walk across the grounds of the school to get to it in the first place, and it's separate from the school, and it kind of just throws you off guard, I guess. And it's like a little ways away from the school. Like, during a hot day like it is today, it's like 85 out. Those kids have to walk over there, and sometimes it's not even unlocked, so they're standing outside in the heat. And I'm just wondering why we have to do this, and if there was a way to like bring it into the high school in the main building so that they could feel more connected to the rest of their classes. And yeah, I mean, it seems like a simple inquiry, but it really is a good question about connecting the rest of us with them. And maybe ag would be more popular even if that room and classroom was over here, connected to this one. So this last picture in front of you from me is of our fit pit, which is basically like an outside exercising area separate from the weight room that we have down by the track. This one's in like a remote location, kind of by the ag shop, but it's by the old football field at the very end, so like completely separate from the rest of the school as well. It's all the way down. You have to go out of your way to get to it. It's not even near the current track and the weight room. And I was just wondering if, going along with the ag shop, if maybe getting this like closer to the weight room or the track we actually use would make people able to go out there more and like use it, or know that it's there for use at all. Because except for when we're going out there for PE class, I really don't see anyone using it. And it was really hyped. This whole Fit Pit program was really hyped in our school, and we put a lot of time and effort and money into making it, and it doesn't really get used as much as they would have hoped and we hoped. I think part of that is the location and the planning for that location. I feel like if we would have put it down by the weight room and the current track where it's visible from the interstate, it would get a lot more use, because honestly, I think a lot of people just don't even know it's there to begin with. And I was just wondering if this could bring like new people over and like interest them maybe, because it looks like a playground from the outside or like from a little ways away, and even when you're up using it, it's fun and exhilarating to use, like climbing the pole or doing the monkey bars or the bar hop or the sit-ups even. It's it's a lot of fun. It's like a playground, and you kind of feel like a kid again, but you're getting a lot more exercise, and it's a lot better for you. And I was just wondering if maybe the location could help benefit the use and the time and the money and effort we put into that. If there would be a way to, like, I don't know, connect it more, like with the ag shop video. If we could just, like, I don't know, maybe make it more noticeable, or like maybe make a pathway or like a sign that says Fit Pit over here with like an arrow pointing to it. I don't know. These are just dumb ideas I'm coming up with. But yeah, it feels really separate right now, and I feel like we would get our money's worth and our use and health benefits out of it a lot more just by moving it.
Okay, so we have to take 3 photos, and the first photo is about an artwork that I saw in the hallway. So while I was crossing the hallway and thinking about what I wanted to take a picture of and what I was curious about, I looked at it and I'm like, like, how did they create it? Or is there like a deeper meaning in that artwork? How did they get inspired to do it? Is there like, did they just do it like to like challenge themselves, or was it easy? What were the difficulties or like easy parts? What did they have to overcome? And I'm also curious about, like, is there like someone that influenced them to create that, like a history, you know? And I was curious about that. I was also curious about, like, is there, I don't know, like, did they put like feeling, like, is there some feelings in there that they, you know, feelings. I also was curious about, like, what about other artists, like talking about art, like how did like famous artists get like inspiration, or was it like something that they didn't think like wasn't gonna get famous, but like in the end they got famous or something like that. And I was curious about like art and how they get inspired, like how do they figure out what they want to draw and paint or create. And I was curious about that, and I was curious about that. And that's why I took a picture of the first one, and Okay, the second photo is about a classroom, and so I took this picture because I was curious how teachers create lesson plans for like individual students, and what drives them to become teachers. Do they know they wanted to be teachers whenever like they were in high school or junior high? How did they get inspired to become teachers? And I was curious about, because like each student has like different ways to learn. I was wondering how they adapted their lessons or created the lessons to help students. And I also was wondering how do they connect to students? Like, is there some secret way that they communicate with students? And and so I was curious. Overall, I was curious about teachers and how they adapt their lesson plans to help students, and why do they become teachers. And so that's why I took the second picture. The third picture is a board, and in that board is names and the schools that they're going to go to after they graduate from high school, and what they want to become. So I took this photo because I was wondering how they like decided to become this or become that job. Is there some type of pressure to become that job, or is it because they're just passionate about it? And like, wasn't it difficult, or was it hard, to choose that college or like job? Was it easy? Did they already know? Did they have some like pressure from like teachers, student, like other family members, something like that? And overall, I was curious how they decided that pathway, like after graduation.
So my first photo was of the trophy case, one of the trophy cases we have downstairs, and I took this photo because I want to learn more about our school history with sports. I'm really interested in this because I used to do a sport, but I don't do it as much now because I know it's really important to some people, so I want to know more about why it's important and how it makes an impact on their life. And I thought that the trophies in the trophy case were a really good way to display this because there's volleyball trophies and basketball, baseball, golf, and there's even speech club or speech tournament trophies. And I just wanted to know more about that and how we came to get these, why do we deserve them, and yeah. Okay, so the second thing I was to take a photo of was the giant yearbook that we have downstairs, but I actually took a little video so you could see some of the years over time passing by. The reason I took a short video of this is because there's so many layers, if you stack them all together, of photos of people that we've never heard of, never met before. And I just want to know the history of our school. Who went here? Did they make an impact on our school? Did they make an impact on our town now? Are they my neighbor next door with 2 children my age, or are they the mayor? And I just want to know more history about our school in general and like who these people grew up to be. So I have a really big passion for art. So the last photo I took was of some of the art paintings or pastels that we have hanging in the high school. And the reason I took this photo is because I want to know who painted this. Why do they deserve this award? Why is it still hanging up on our walls in school years later for everyone to walk down the hallway and see? I just want to know how they made an impression to still be here from 2000 and 2001 and so on. And I just think that would be a cool way to show people how people like teenagers in the junior high and high school can make an impact on our school if even when they're gone, their artwork or performance stays here announced in a trophy or a piece of artwork.